Hello, everyone. I'm Edward Mayberry with the San Antonio Public Library, and today, along with Cassie Garza, we're going to talk about the future of esports in San Antonio. Joining us today is Joyce. Joyce, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Joyce Dooley. I'm a program manager here at the Geekdom co-working space in downtown San Antonio. I've been here on staff for a couple of years now, working on civic innovation and their other innovation projects, including their incubator program and our pre-accelerator. But I have a background as an emerging technologies analyst. I've been working in that field for about 8 or 9 years and focusing on emerging technology markets like Internet of Things, smart cities, AI, esports and gaming, and cryptocurrency markets. For quite some time.
Thank you. Will?
Will Garrett. I serve as Vice President Director of Cybersecurity Development at Port San Antonio. If you don't know what Port San Antonio is, it's the home of the former Kelly Air Force Base on the southwest side of San Antonio, 2,000-acre campus. It's focused on building a technology-connected campus between advanced manufacturing, robotics, cybersecurity, and intelligence. From the gaming side of the house, I guess, favorite video game ever, Street Fighter 2 on NES. The most frequent game I'm playing these days is Mario Kart with my 3 young girls.
Awesome. And Nathan?
Yes, Nathan Pantuso. I'm a robotic technician at One Robotics. I've been working at this particular company for 3 years. I would have to say that the gaming skills that I have attributed from past several years have helped with crew chiefing. It has definitely helped with giving me the edge on remote worker.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And I have to agree with Will. Street Fighter is probably the best video game ever made.
I actually played it last night. Not even kidding.
I actually talked about it with someone today at lunch. And I didn't mention, but I have a background with gaming as well. I've always had a console in the house and things like that. And I would probably describe myself as gaming adjacent at best and more of a hobbyist than a real competitive player, but anywhere from PC to console games throughout the years, as well as some tabletop things from time to time. And it's very cool to be on this call today. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Joyce, I have a question for you. Can you describe, you said incubator and pre-accelerator. What does that entail?
Yeah, so that entails kind of a cool few things. So Geekdom co-working has really been at the heart of San Antonio's push for startup creation and entrepreneurship in San Antonio. So helping, disruptive technology companies and other kinds of startups get a footing here in the ecosystem, as well as kind of scaling and working in investment communities here in San Antonio. So the pre-accelerator is a 6-week boot camp that prepares local startups for rapid growth and or future investment opportunities. And so this is the second year that I've been managing that program, and we have 7 companies, 2 of which are gaming related, which we can talk about a little bit later. So that's a really exciting development this year. And then the incubator program is a new initiative that I have been working on since October of 2018 in discussions with the city of San Antonio. 3 teams kind of came out of the CivTech SA Civic Innovation Program back in 2018, and there wasn't a good formal channel for them to really participate. But we knew that they were really great and amazing. We wanted to continue to develop them. And Geekdom itself has served as a natural incubator for many, many years. And we decided to use this opportunity to put formal channels around this. And so what we've done is put together a 12-month part-time incubator program that's targeted for full-time students and full-time employees that have the civic innovation ideas and want to get started. We're going to have applications open for our 2021 cohort here in about a month or so. So that will be really exciting. But we've got 3 teams right now focused on civic innovation projects. If you want to learn more about that, you can go to geekdom.com/incubator and you can learn more about the teams as well as the program as a whole.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Will, can you please tell us about cybersecurity? It's a different definition for everyone. Just give us a pretty much layman's basic term of it, please.
Yeah, it's we call it the least worst word you could use for what we're describing. And so I didn't coin the term, but I'd say it's, when you think about security in general, a lot of people think physical security. Cybersecurity would be the security of everything between the human and the machine, and now more frequently machine to machine. And so it's everything from network security, security of financial data, security of information. I mean, the world we live in is increasingly almost 100% driven by the digital apparatus. And so it's driven by computers and networks and the World Wide Web. And so cybersecurity at the highest of level is securing the transmission of data in between computers. I'd say most of the time still in general, driven by a human, although Plus One's a great example of a company that's pushing the boundaries of what machine to machine can do to, effectively improve the ability of those machines to learn and think a little bit more like humans.
Great. Awesome. We don't realize that even at the library, we use cybersecurity all the time. That little lock when people go use the internet is to encrypt their messages and to encrypt their data so no one can steal it from them. So that's always a good thing to know. And Nathan, can you tell us more about robotics?
So the robotics field that I'm currently in is a software company that allows us to speak to the robots in such a way that gives each picking, which is like from multiple items in a bin, be able to pick them and sort them to different locations depending on the application. So basically, it's very simplistic movements for humans. It's very repetitive and very boring. So what Plus One Robotics is able to do is able to move those people into much better jobs, much higher cerebral capacity jobs that the robots can be in the place of those very mundane, very boring jobs. So that is something that robotics helps in the fields of basically helping people go higher in their job careers and such like that. And the remote worker is really great for that kind of application because we're able to lean heavily on AI, but because we're not living in the science fiction world of Hollywood, AI is not as sophisticated as Hollywood would lead us to believe, and it still makes mistakes. And so that is where the human in the loop, crew chiefing and remote worker come into play in that area.
This is one of the first times I've been introduced to Plus One Robotics, and the website for Plus One Robotics does, one of the videos that I really liked showed sort of like a take by take exactly about what you do. Very informative and descriptive. So it kind of put everything in perspective, especially with the example was logistics, UPS. We have a major UPS hub here, FedEx, Amazon, fulfillment centers, and it's kind of like they use, very similar but different technologies in that aspect. So it's awesome that Plus One Robotics has like a little hand in that.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually just got a press release from FedEx that they have given to some newspapers, basically showing that Plus One Robotics is one of the people that they're using as an integrator for some of their newer technology and sorting packages and such. But yes, that video is awesome because it definitely helps put in layman's terms what we're doing. Unfortunately, we do have that capability of speaking in certain ways that if you're not familiar with any kind of robotics applications or systems, it's kind of like overwhelming. Most people are just like, what? So absolutely, that is a major asset that we have for explaining to people is just the video on our website.
Awesome.
I think those are pain points that both Will and I completely understand. And I don't know, Will, if you've been able to have a straight conversation with anybody about what you do for a living, but I certainly have in the last 8 or 9 years. So kudos to you, Nathan, if you have a video. I don't.
Well, and Cassandra, sorry not to get on a tangent, but I think that the video is a great point. Plus One as a company is a great example of this entire conversation around esports and gaming. The video itself is great because what Joyce does daily to help startups launch out of San Antonio, the simplicity of that video that Plus One has put together that explains what they're doing, how it relates to people in robotics and efficiencies in business, is incredible, and that aligns to what Joyce helps people do. Tell your story in a more effective way to people that don't want you to get technical. But then Plus One as an entity is building on the advanced technology, robotics, manufacturing, and cybersecurity kind of clusters in San Antonio in that talent field to grow their business here. And to Nathan's point about himself as a person, and I'm sure a lot of other people on the Plus One team, the inherent things you learn from being a gamer, especially on the IP generation development of gaming side, is the type of talent a company like Plus One is looking for, which is one of the reasons they can stay in San Antonio and are not forced to expand and grow at this point elsewhere. And so I think as a company in the video itself, you kind of hit a lot of what Joyce, myself, and Plus One as a company are doing as it ties into gaming. So yeah, it's a great video.
Most definitely. And so to expand on this tangent a little bit more too, like, thank you, Will, because I agree with you. And I also agree with Nathan on these things. You know, the availability or the accessibility of these kinds of technologies or these kinds of industries that are being developed, especially in a city like San Antonio that has such a legacy of innovation. It's the time is coming to where we probably won't have to have as many videos talking about these things. I know that, you know, having a background in the Internet of Things, that space was always kind of nebulous and very abstract and hard to talk about. But I think last summer we did a Smart Cities themed startup weekend, and we had 60-something people who were finally able to jump right in and understand what was happening and be able to apply it and create some really wonderful things out of it as a result. And so I'm certain that with robotics and with esports and gaming and all these other technologies that we touch, as they get further integrated in everyone's lives, we will be able to have better conversations and have a community that comes with us rather than always having to kind of set the mark and move everyone forward.
Also, with that said, how is the tech industry in San Antonio responding to the popularity of esports? What contributions is the tech industry making to push the community forward in esports?
Yeah, okay, fine. So I can speak to what the community organizers have been doing outside of the Port of San Antonio and how Geekdom has been working with them in a partnership capacity to try to assess like what really is like the feeling of people in this space. And so we've been collaborating with San Japan and SAPL and the Greater Gaming Society of San Antonio to kind of put together our own education initiatives that we really launched at January. But, you know, we've been helping out at conferences like the San Japan conference and just understanding what's happening. And as more community organizations tap into the talent and the interests of the people here in San Antonio, the schools have also started adopting more of these things too. And so now there's high school teams that are forming or clubs as well as competitive teams at the collegiate level, which is really exciting. And then from Geekdom's perspective, you know, from a startup creation or how companies are implementing gamification or game theory into their businesses to increase engagement or adoption of their products and services, as well as a couple of gaming related companies being formed in this ecosystem. It's a really exciting time, and I think people are hungry and ready to do it because it's been such a part of the tech community, but more as like entertainment or as a hobby or as a creative outlet rather than an actual industry. And I think we have all the makings to build a really robust, formalized industry from the entertainment side as well as from the tech development side here.
Yeah, I'll chime in, Edward, to the question on the tech industry's response. I think it at the very core comes down to talent. I mean, for all the companies that Joyce is working with at Geekdom, our customers and partners at Port San Antonio, companies like Plus One Robotics, it's about how do you find, recruit, retain the top talent in computer science and data analytics, and cybersecurity and advanced robotics. And I think companies recognize the kind of alignment of where that talent likes to be, and that talent often likes to be gaming and participate in esports. And so they recognize esports as a growing kind of global industry, but also I think speaking on behalf of a lot of companies, they see it as a place for talent recruitment. We take a step back 50,000 foot level to San Antonio. Most citizens probably don't realize that we have a massive gaming community here. It's hidden because it's people playing in their house or, you know, in some of the great like LAN cafes and some of the cyber cafes around town that offer space for that. And so it's a big community, and stats and figures will tell you that if you really dig into the data. We have a lot of gamers in San Antonio. What we've lacked is some of the physical infrastructure plays that other communities have to help support the local, regional, kind of super regional type competitions that bring hundreds, if not thousands, of gamers together. And so I think from Geekdom side, some of the programming, I mean, COVID aside, what's happened the last 6 months, trying to bring together people physically that are part of this community, that are invested in it. And then from a Port San Antonio side, it's one of the reasons we're launching an esports arena, really a multi-purpose technology arena down at the port as part of this 130,000 square foot innovation center. And it is to provide a place for those regional competitions to come. We were talking about, Joyce and I earlier, when you think about gaming too, many people would say frames win the game. And so it's who has the best hardware, who has the best connection. And that's true in gaming, especially in competitive gaming. Those frames matter. And when you think about San Antonio writ large, we've still got a lot of parts of our population that may not have the bandwidth or connections, or especially the hardware in home, to make them competitive. And not just competitive in terms of winning a lot of money in a global competition, but competitive to get a scholarship to a major university, which is more and more rampant. It's been exciting to see what's happened in San Antonio. And so in addition to the arena itself, we're launching a 24/7 LAN gaming center. Part of that would be to really remove that barrier to entry, remove the statement frames wins the games as a competitive disadvantage that people in San Antonio may have if they don't have access, and provide places for players that are passionate about it to come and have the best hardware, software, best connection they can to invest in themselves from a gaming standpoint. But when you put those type of facilities together, really it's how do we grow our industries here? And both we want to grow esports and we want to grow gaming. But like any professional sport, very few people that actually go pro. And it's how do you connect the people with the right minds in gaming, both playing and developing, to the type of companies like a One Robotics, someone developing some incredible applications in AI and robotics, or a cybersecurity company. And so I think our response has been at the port, how do we build the right facilities to provide San Antonio as the place they can come, watch, participate in, meet with like-minded people, and improve themselves from a gaming standpoint. Then also, how do we make sure industry is engaged so that they can really meet talent where that talent lives and ensure we don't lose that talent in other cities? And so it's all kind of in my mind, a full ecosystem approach, and we're starting to see esports and gaming as a critical aspect of that talent. And I think companies are looking to that area as a place to go find that talent.